Vyas and Prab from the proposition, right? Hello.
Hello, yeah,
Yes.
yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. So we're just waiting in for the audience to join in. Just give me a second. Hi, we're gonna go ahead. This house, if I can just request everybody to please turn down the volume on your end. I'm facing disturbance. Okay, I'm gonna mute everybody and then I'm gonna unmute the proposition.
Yeah.
Okay, you're gonna have to unmute yourself when I ask you to. Thank you very much. We're just waiting in for one of the audience sitting in audience to come in. I'm gonna introduce the topic for the day. Good evening, everybody. The topic for the day is this House believes that laws banning public display of affection are a fundamental entitlement which should not be limited by legislation based on religion or culture. We have in the proposition for this topic, we have Mr. Vyas and Mr. Prab. I would like the first speaker from the proposition to kindly unmute himself and give the opening statement, please. Thank you.
Sir, sir, can we just be introduced to the procedure once before beginning the debate?
I'm sure you must have been given the procedure. Anyway, I will be repeating the procedure here. We're going to have 2 minutes of opening statement from all the four speakers, one by one. That is, there'll be one prop, there'll be one proposition speaker, and then one opposition speaker, then the second proposition speaker, and then the second opposition speaker. That will end the opening statement round. Then we will move on to the um, judges questioning as well as the cross questioning between the two teams. This will then be followed by me concluding the debate and the judges' final statements, and then you will be messaged questions on the Hangout. They will be typed and sent to you from the speakers as well as if I have questions from my end, and you will have to reply to them on the Hangout within 10 minutes of the end of the debate. I hope that's clear, everybody. If we can just have the opening statement from the first proposition speaker for the evening, please. Hello? Proposition, team proposition.
Vyas, do you want to give the speech or shall I begin?
You can begin.
So,
Yeah, you can go ahead, please.
yeah, here, uh, present here. Today, I present before you the topic of the day. Sir, can I have the topic, please, in the chat?
Um, I have already repeated the topic, and I'm sure you would have been given the topic earlier.
Yes,
Are you
okay.
prepared for the debate?
Yes, sir, I am. Laws
Please
ban.
go ahead with the opening statement.
Okay, I'm just starting it once again. Good afternoon to one and all present here. Today, I stand before you to present my stance on laws banning public display of affection are a fundamental element which should not be limited by legalization based on religion and culture. Standing in the proposition side for the topic, today, I present before you one of the most punishable most punished by views upon the topic of all. What do we mean by public display of affection? It is a way two people of the same or different sex display their feelings, basically love, towards each other. Now, the display of love is very much normally humanly considered act in nature, which cannot be avoided at circumstances. People People differ in how much affection they are comfortably showing in public. However, new researchers find out that couples who show each other affections in front of others have more satisfying relationship than those who don't. And now, why have the society become so hypocritical in nature? Just because we have grown in the state of mind considering maturity. In fact,
Yes, go ahead. You still have about 40 seconds.
pu- the display of public affection uh, is fundamental to human nature from the past times. People have been showing affection towards their loved ones. Display of affection is a part of nature's creation. Affection is certainly a better human quality than cruelty when it comes to public display. Showing of affection to those we love is a fundamental entitlement which I would like to question. Our lawmakers and religious leaders often do have double standards when it comes to morality. In the European, artists portray a public display of affection, which states that in the past times, people had no objections with the public display of
Yeah,
emotion
I'm sorry, that's the end of the time.
in the sculptures. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Can we have the opening statement from the opposition team, please?
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to speak against the topic that laws banning public displays of affection are a fundamental entitlement which should not be limited by legislation based on religion or culture. That is, I'm on the opposition. Okay, so I ask you to imagine this. There's a 12-year-old child. Now, this child still can clearly differentiate between that which is right and that which is wrong. On the sidewalk while he's walking, he sees his couple fondling each other, acting frivolously towards that which we call public decency. This kid, now intrigued by these acts, goes home and is curious to try these things with his best friend or his girlfriend. Now, these acts of indecency have led to what may be catastrophic to both these children in their lives in the time to come. I realize I am overstating things, and this is quite a dramatic portrayal of what is obviously, you know, highly improbable. But that does not mean this is impossible, ladies and gentlemen. Which is why I'm here to say that banning public displays of affection, that we should ban public displays of affection. There is a reason these laws exist. There's a reason these laws are enforced. This reason is that people never know where to stop. It is allowing acts like this that lead to so many complex problems. Men will be men and women will be women. Putting faith in people to know where to stop is simply not reasonable. And thus, I say that any laws we make banning public displays of affection should not only be based on religious or cultural restraints, but also within the agenda to protect moral values and that which we stand for, to protect that which a society has earned to protect for years and hopefully years to come. That sense of innocence our
30
youth
seconds.
possesses, a youthfulness that this house can only hope does not get lost during inane acts. Thank you.
Thank you. You still have about 20 seconds if you'd like to continue.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. If you can just mute yourself again.
Yes, no problem.
Can we have the opening statement from the second speaker from the proposition, please?
Yes. Let me start my statement by telling, briefing on what exactly is public affection. Couples are not going to keep fondling each other or having coitus on the streets. Public affection generally means a hug or a kiss in front of others. So, as my partner said, a satisfying level of relationship is reached when public affection is shown. But apart from that, how does it corrupt the people around you because of showing public affections, and how does the law stop us from doing this? Basically, we all have the entitlement of we have freedom. We are entitled to do whatever we want in public, unless and until it does not affect any other people around us. So a couple showing affection basically precisely does not hurt or do anything else to anybody in other way. And to defend about how underage people or children who are not mature enough are looking at this, our society has grown to a level at which everyone, including children under 18 years, under 10 years, about 10 years, you can say, need the maturity, need to know what is happening, what is not happening. The parents need to educate their children on fields like sexuality, gender, and generally protection against harassment and everything. So when you teach your child that you should not accept chocolate from strangers,
30
obviously
seconds.
this is also another thing that the children should know. So what the main question is, how come our culture and religion plays a role in this? Culture and religion, when it is kept inside our homes, does not affect anybody else. So as there goes a famous saying, no problem is created in our society when people keep their culture and their religion to themselves within their homes. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And can we have the last of the opening statements, please, from team opposition? Rohit, from team opposition. I think you need to unmute yourself, Rohit. Navneet, can you just communicate that to him?
Okay, can I start?
Yes, please. Your time starts now. Rohit, I think your connection is causing problems. Can you just please speak out loud once?
Can you hear me now?
It's your voice is cracking.
Okay, I actually have his
Can you hear me
argument.
now?
Yeah, now it's better now. Navneet,
Hello?
we'd prefer it
Hello?
if Rohit gives the opening statement.
Yeah, okay, no problem.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better. Please go ahead.
Okay. Hi, good evening. So I'm on the opposition. I would start by giving an example. Imagine you and your teenage daughter sitting in the cinemas and you see two people in the row in front of you engaged in debauchery. You undoubtedly feel uncomfortable along with your daughter. So public display of emotion is quite a problem these days. You cannot go out without seeing two people holding hands or kissing fervently. It can make most of us quite uncomfortable. It could be the way we are raised, but we simply cannot adhere to the fact in public and can't wait to get home behind closed doors. Therefore, it is only right that these kind of acts should be banned, no matter what religion or culture or the type of behaviors can cause a variety of emotion in different people, like discomfort, hatred, loathing, jealousy, etc. If people truly want to express their emotions, let them do it in a private place. Why do they need to show other people how deep their affection or love is? There is a certain level of decency that is maintained in society and in public places. This is pure violation at all levels. Young children, old people, and generally conservative people like to follow these social norms, and they don't have to see all this, especially children. Imagine what will get fixed in their minds. These have a bad impression upon their mind, which cultivates the idea that such indecent behavior in public places is acceptable. Thus, it in this
30
context,
seconds.
it doesn't matter if we're in a different religions or culture, as this social indecency is simply unacceptable and must be banned. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Now that we have the views of all four speakers put forward, I'd like our judge, Shantini ma'am, to please unmute herself and ask questions to both teams. First, the questions to team proposition, please, ma'am. Hello, ma'am, can you hear me? Shantini ma'am, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you now. Can you please shoot out questions to both teams, please? First, the questions to team proposition.
All right, one second. All right. Hello? Proposition? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
Alright. So when you say that it is a fundamental freedom to express affection, it doesn't hug or a kiss and it doesn't affect others, I want you to establish this point.
Ma'am, sorry, we can't hear you, ma'am. If you could just type out the questions, ma'am.
Okay, let me try.
It's better now. So if you could just repeat it.
Right. So, team proposition, quoting you, you said it is a fundamental freedom to hug or kiss and it doesn't affect others. I want you to establish this point for me.
Yes, ma'am. And the second question, please.
Ma'am, did you just say establish the point?
Yes, I want you to substantiate it. Just not tell me it doesn't affect others. Tell me how it doesn't affect others.
Okay.
And the second question, ma'am, for the for team proposition.
All right. For team proposition, I want you to relate religion and culture, let alone the point of children seeing all these in society. I want you to tell me why it is in society with varied cultures and varied forms of expression and what they like and dislike. Tell me why it is still okay to go ahead with this. I want you to establish a relationship between religion and culture and PDA and not with respect to children.
Ma'am, I didn't get your second question. Could you just please type it?
Okay, wait. Typing
Ma'am,
would be.
this is just with the team that is directed to.
I don't get you. Come again.
If you could just type it with the team that it is directed to.
Ma'am, it would be grateful if you type out both the questions, please.
All right. See, I am in through my phone because I don't have a working laptop condition right now.
All right. Ma'am, can
Yeah.
we just hear the second question to team proposition again?
All right. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I gave you the second question for team opposition.
Yeah, exactly. If we could.
I'm sorry.
If we could have the second question for team prop.
Just give me a few seconds, huh?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. Your second question. Parents educate children. That's all right. Tell me how a 10-year-old would be okay with PDA and be mature enough to understand PDA, and tell me a 10-year-old will always be a 10-year-old no matter 100 centuries from now. Tell me how you propose parents educate children for public display of affection.
All right. Team proposition, I believe you have both of your questions. Are you ready with the answers, team proposition?
Sir, I'm not still clear with the first question. What did ma'am mean by establishing there?
Should I repeat? Should I
Could you
explain?
just
Am I
explain
allowed to
the
explain?
Yes, ma'am. If you could just elaborate a little bit on that question, please.
Okay. So the second speaker tells me that affection would be either just a kiss or a hug. And I believe that kiss and a hug would be the starting of anything that you want to do after that. He says that it's your freedom and it does not affect others. And in the debate, I will not accept a statement like it does not affect others plainly. I want you to tell me how it will not affect others.
Okay, since the question is directly directed towards me, I'll take it.
Yes, please.
Okay, Prab.
Yeah, tell me.
Yeah. So you want me to establish the fact how a hug or a kiss does not affect other people around. So you stated the example, the other guy stated the example, like going to a movie with your dad, with your family. So it is very typical that nowadays in every movie there is definitely an intimate scene. When you go, and obviously we always go to movies, and almost every movie has such an intimate scene, no matter if it is for children or if it is for action, whatever genre it might be. So when you are okay, when you have do not when you do not have any issues looking at that on the screen, why do you need to be embarrassed? Why do you need to feel discomfort? Why do you need to feel any type of emotion when two other people are kissing or hugging? So, public display of affection does not mean brutally ripping off your clothes and having coitus on the streets or anywhere for that matter, which is a public place. Public display of affection generally means less intimate form of affection being shown, and totally that does not have or cause any effect on any other persons. So you're going with your parents, you look at the screen and you're comfortable with it. Obviously, the same must be done here. And also talking about religion and how this religion and culture and how it affects this. It is a culture that it does not. We do not see all these things happening. When you are accepting new things like technology, new kind of genres of movies, the people are getting more expressive. The people are getting more communicative. They are capable of communicating their proper feelings and expressing without any ambiguity or embarrassment with everybody, including parents. Topics that were banned to be discussed or totally improper or senseless to be discussed with parents, which was considered like that. Now people are discussing the same things openly and freely with everybody. The same thing you can see on televisions. Every topic which causes embarrassment is totally discussed. So the point of embarrassment is totally void or null, you can say. So it does not in any matter affect anybody around you. I think I made my point pretty clear.
Thank you. Ma'am, you still have the second question. Is Prab going to take that question?
Yes, sir, I will take that question, but I request ma'am to repeat it once again, as it was not clear. Thank you.
Which question?
The second question to the team proposition, ma'am.
Okay. So your second question. All right. So the first speaker actually comprehensively answered my question, unfortunately, that I posted for team opposition. But your second question was, children are going to be children of 10 years old. They cannot be more mature than 10 years, okay? So children are going to be children centuries from now. Establish the fact that how parents can educate these children, especially conservative parents educating their children about being okay with PDA.
Yes, Prab, if you can just take that question.
Sir, I am just sorry, but ma'am, you were not audible. I am really,
Prab,
really
I'm going to
apologize.
repeat the question. I'm going to repeat the question. Ma'am's question to you was, a 10-year-old will always be a 10-year-old, irrespective of whether we are in the 20th century or the 40th century. How do you expect a 10-year-old to be mature enough to understand PDA, even if their parents explain it to them? Are you clear with the question now? Ma'am, is that
Yes,
what you
sir.
asked?
I would talk in point of view of a conservative parent.
All right. So, Prab, if you could just take that question, please.
Yes, sir. First of all, it really feels ironical that the judge has posed such question. But ma'am, I would really thank you for the question. Coming back to the question, as ma'am herself stated that uh, a 10-year-old will be a 10-year-old. But ma'am, if I was clear enough during my speech, I had stated a point that artist and sculpturist in even in India, where you find most of the conservative parents, on the carvings of many temples, you find the goddesses, even people displaying public affection. So I would just like to ask you one question: if people were broad-minded at those days, why have we become so hypocritical? A 10-year-old at those days was a 10-year-old, and you see, if people were if the 10-year-old still did accept the public display of affection in those days. I'm basically talking here about the 18th and 19th century, where there were in the to make myself clear, in the Victorian ages, where there were great artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Pablo Leonardo da Vinci, I'm sorry, painting sculptures about of naked women, men and women, and also paintings and sculptures. When Also, the 10-year-old at those times did understand and still are being and still are not hesitant with the public display of affection. I think this question should not be posed it doesn't really stand in order, because a 10-year-old at that time is a 10-year-old till centuries. Thank you.
Ma'am, if we can just have the questions for the opposition, ma'am.
Right, give me a few seconds.
Yes, please.
If I may point out, Leonardo da Vinci did not belong to the 18th or 19th century, actually.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Now,
just-
please, we can hold back comments till the end of the debate, please. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So, proposition, your first question. Can you guys hear me?
Ma'am, with the opposition.
Opposition, sorry.
Yeah, okay. I was just, getting things clear. Okay, ma'am.
All right. So, we have established the fact that our society has moved forward leaps and bounds. Having taken that into consideration, we have very conservative parents who don't send their girls out at all, as against parents who are okay with their daughters hanging or her sons hanging out with the opposite gender. All right. So, how would you tell me that this law is still bad just because I come from a very religious background, which does not allow such a thing, but my other friends who have different religions are okay with it and would probably be, they're moderate. The religion is moderate, and they'll be okay with PDA, as against my counterparts who can't accept PDA. So just because of one class of society, is it still okay to ban the law?
And the second question, ma'am. Hello?
All right. So we come to the fact that PDA is actually going to be a very mild form of expression of affection. And so substantiate on the point where you say they don't know where to stop, because we've established the fact that it's just a mild form of affection. So I want you to elucidate more on the fact that you say that people don't know where to stop.
Are the questions clear to you, team opposition?
Yes, the questions are clear. Can we answer to the questions now?
Yes, are you taking both?
Actually, ma'am, could you just repeat the first question? I'm sorry.
That's okay. No problem. All right. So my first question is, a society is completely diverse with very conservative families and families which are very cool with a lot of things. Okay.
Okay,
you get
ma'am.
my question?
Yeah, ma'am.
Right. So what I'm saying is, right now, my religion and in my family, I've moved leaps and bounds, and I'm very open-minded. But just because I have the other part of my society, which is very conservative, no, it's completely fine. It's just public display of affection, which is very, very mild. Would I still have to keep the law just because of a certain group of conservative people who are not okay with it?
All right. Did you get the question now?
Okay, yeah. See, first of all, in our argument, I clearly stated that basing these laws on culture and religion is redundant, simply because we uphold these laws in our own sense of moral goodness. We want to preserve the innocence of the youth. That is I believe, in my point of view, that is the main reason why we have these laws, because we need that innocence in our youth, because once that innocence is corrupted, it never comes back. Right? Which is why this house strongly believes that basing these rules on religion and culture is simply an excuse. It's just each country's or each religion's way of expressing the fact that PDA in front of children or in front of minors is unacceptable. That is this house's stance, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
And The second question was, okay, Rohit wants to answer the second question, but he can't seem to come online. Second question, Rohit, anytime now. Rohit. Rohit. Mom, he seems to be
Wait, I'm being muted.
Okay, yeah, he's here.
Wait.
Yeah, thank God.
Okay, ma'am, you're talking about, ma'am, you said the display of affection is only mild. You said that we have established that fact, but I don't think that public display of affection means that. It means performing intimate acts also in public. We never established the fact that a public display of affection is only mild, like a hug.
Hello?
Hello, Mom. As we were saying, what Rohit is trying to say is, in our argument, we never stopped with saying that public displays of affection end with hugs or kisses. Rather, what we were trying to say was, there are countries where it doesn't stop with this, right? Countries such as France, where they endorse public nudity. And I seriously don't understand how this is acceptable in front of kids. Kids who can't tell the difference between right and wrong. Right, which is what our house strongly stands to support, that regardless of culture and tradition, laws should be enforced based on the overall moral goodness, right? To ban PDA.
You don't know that in France, prostitution is legal.
Mom, I can't hear you. Sorry.
And I would.
Finish your answer.
Mom, I'm sorry, I can't hear you. I'm extremely sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, a little bit. It's
sorry,
slightly. Yeah, none of us. I don't think I can hear you clearly, ma'am.
Hello, can Nani Taiwan?
Tell me when you can hear me right now. Hello.
Hello, yeah, ma'am.
Yes. Please tell me if you can hear me.
Yeah, I can hear you now. I can hear you very clearly now, ma'am.
Okay, so are you guys done answering the question, or do you want me to repeat the question?
Could you repeat the second question? The first question we answered. The second question, could we repeat it?
I paraphrase my question so that it's much more clear in one shot. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
I have a friend who was time because religion asked us to wear that burqa, and I have the law.
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I can't hear anything, ma'am. I'm pretty sure it's not just me.
Audible until now, at least.
It comes in and out. If Akil sir could intervene and somehow convey what you're trying to say, it would be amazing. I'm sorry.
You don't need to be this sorry, dude. Akhil.
I'm not sure if the fault was on my side. That's why I'm apologizing, because
Either way, so stop being sorry. But
Ma'am, your voice is just cracking a little.
all right.
Yeah, it's better now.
yeah, it's much better now.
All right. So can I go ahead with the question?
Yes, please.
Alright, so this establishment of the fact that PDA is just a mild form, I took it from your proposition, okay? I am nowhere, judging whether PDA is an extreme form or not. Just going by what your proposition says. So clearing that, the second question to you is...
Okay, ma'am.
Right. So there are a lot of religions which have completely modernized and, let's say they made do with a lot of their laws, and they've not made it as strict or as conservative as it was before this.
Agreed, ma'am.
Right? So, right now, what's wrong with changing these laws? Just because a very small part of the society may be conservative, why do you still not want this law to exist?
Ma'am, we are saying that it should be banned. We're saying public displays, extreme public displays of affection should be banned. The occasional hug and kiss is okay, but the limits to which people go is absolutely outrageous, right? The reason we don't see this because India considers all this a taboo. But a person who's personally been abroad, it's absolutely outrageous what you see when you come back. I mean, after living in India for 16 years, looking at that seems, it seems impossible to accept this type of thing because it corrupts the innocence of a child. As our proposition said, Mr. Prabhav Singh in the comment box, it was not even maintained when the temples in India were made. And you see, these so-called minors have been visiting temples for sure. Obviously, they've been visiting temples, but it's called tantric art for a reason. Kids were brought up on this. They knew the difference from right and wrong from their childhood. We're not brought up that way, right? Because we still have that innocence. Western culture, which is flowing into our lives, at least has partially allowed us to retain that sense of innocence, which I personally feel should not be lost.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. Is that all, or would you have more questions for either team?
Okay, give me a few seconds. I'll tell you.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am.
If I ask a question for the proposition, does that necessarily mean I need to have a question?
No, you don't. No, not really.
Okay. Alright, so proposition.
Yes, ma'am.
So my question to you is, I am brought up in a very, very, very conservative family. My mother wears burqa and I have to cover my face or my body.
Ma'am, your voice is cracking again. Your voice is cracking again.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Alright, fine. Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So taking from the point that you said that the parents need to educate their children. Am I clear now?
Yes, please.
Right. So if I am, let's say that my family is very conservative, I need to cover myself before I go out of the house. And I am from a family which people get married within their family. They don't even want to take people outside the family. Would you really expect a family of that sort to be able to educate their children and tell them that PDA is still okay? You need to be mature to handle it. Do you think such kind of values would come from a system that is very conservative, or from a family that is very conservative? Do you expect that to happen evenly across?
Ma'am, could you just repeat your last statement, please?
Do you expect such conservative families to impart mature knowledge to their children who are 10 years old? And do you think it will evenly happen?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, so did you get the question?
No, I didn't get the question.
Okay, I got it.
Okay,
I think Vyas has got the question. If you could take it on, please.
Yes, sir, I would like to take on the question, but could you just repeat it, please?
Vyas, could you just repeat the question for your partner?
She's asking how can a conservative family, or how will a conservative family will confront their boards and convince them to PDA? Shall I answer? Or
No, I would like to take the question.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So, sir, basically speaking about, from the time we have started the debate, everyone is just talking about conservative families. Why do we have to consider a small group whereas there is the rest of the world agreeing to the PDS? So, also answering ma'am's question, ma'am, in conservative societies, people also do go to watch movies or any part where the PDS are being displayed. It's not only the society, the public display of affection. It's not only in the parks and any other public place where they are being displayed, but also in any movie. if taking example of, I would take example of movies. Don't the conservative families go to movies if they are so particular and conservative uh, about their religion? They should just really stop going to temples and movies. And in that case, I would just like to ask you a question: are not our lawmakers and religious leaders often double standards when it comes to morality? If you could answer that question, I guess you could also find the answer to your question. Thank you.
I would like to be a little more precise to the answer, if the judge doesn't mind.
All right, just keep it short.
Yeah, so answering the core of the question, how conservative families will do their words. Conservative families, considering previous centuries when education was very low and people started educating their wards only when they were about 10 years old or so. Now we are sending children to schools, kindergartens, preschools, learning a lot of things right from the age of 3, 4, 5. So the level of maturity, the level of understanding of the human civilization in general has increased. So when people are able to comprehend, basically children are able to comprehend certain concepts, they are able to understand movies. Of course, they'll be of understanding this if they are documented with and logically reasoned with. So that would be answering your question. And also,
All right.
conservative
Yes,
families.
yes, if we can just keep it short. Two of you have answered this question.
The conservative families follow their culture with whatever rules or moralities they want. They can follow within their family, but they should not prevent or force others to follow that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ma'am, would that be all?
No, I have another question.
Sure, you can go ahead.
Opposition, tell me when you can differentiate between, let's say, a girl. Can you tell me when you can differentiate between just a public display of affection and, let's say, she being handled in a wrong way that she doesn't want to?
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Between public display of
Akhil sir, could you just repeat what ma'am said, because I
Ma'am,
think she was
ma'am,
not audible.
I'm unable to hear the question as well, ma'am.
Yes, now.
No, ma'am.
Your voice is cracking.
Okay, now. Hello, can you hear me now?
It's better, ma'am. The connection is better now.
Tell me how you can differentiate between.
I'm sorry, ma'am. It's cracking again.
Ma'am, could you just type it in the group chat?
I told you, right? I'm coming through my phone because my laptop's not functional. So.
Yeah. Ma'am, if you want, you could put the question across to the debate club team on a voice call. I'll get somebody to get the question answered for you in text form.
Alright. One last. Can you hear me now?
It's better, but it's cracking now and then.
Alright. Now.
Yeah, it's a lot better now, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, now it's good.
Okay. Tell me how you can differentiate between a girl being by choice and not by choice.
Ma'am?
Tell me how you
differentiate between a girl
who is, let's say, kissed by choice and a girl who's being.
Ma'am, your voice is still cracking.
If one of your teammates could tell you.
Vyas, did you get the question?
No.
Akhil sir, could you just explain the question?
No, ma'am, I just got it till a girl who is.
Did you say kissing by choice or is it forced?
Forced. Tell me how you differentiate between force and choice.
Yeah, I think that is it for us. Can you just answer that?
Sir, what is the question?
Hello,
yeah.
Can you hear me? Vyas, will you
moderate and tell them what the question is?
Ma'am, actually, I'm a little unclear. Is it when a girl is kissed by choice or by force?
No, tell me how to differentiate it. Tell me how you can differentiate from being an assault.
All right. So yeah, Vyas.
Okay, sir. Sir, I would be taking the question.
All right.
Ma'am, ma'am, answering your question, when it comes to choice, it could be considered under public under PDA. But when it comes to force, how can you even consider under PDA, as you cannot, as in public? I guess we are still so helpful that if anyone is forced, we would just generally stop it. So kissing in public, and which is still being forced, I just think that cannot be considered under PDA. So I think this question should not be posed by a judge for sure. Thank you.
Prab, I don't really think you stuck to the question.
Yeah,
But
I'll take it. So
yeah,
she's asking.
do you? I don't think your partner comprehended the question the
Yeah,
way
yeah,
it
yeah.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's asking, how do you know when it's the girl actually wants it in the public or doesn't want it in the public?
Yeah,
And the other,
exactly.
Sir,
uh,
as I have been telling you, I didn't get the question, and
Yeah,
all
okay,
I
so
let me.
told
so
was,
can your partner please take the question?
I'll take it. I'll take it. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
sure, sure,
thank
sure.
you. Thank you.
So when the other sex is not willing and one person is willing, obviously it is something that the couple themselves must consider and talk to each other. When someone is not feeling comfortable displaying public affection, they must. It's actually something that we should not interfere. They should know among themselves. So when one person is accepting the other person is not that much enthusiastic or really into it, they must stop it within themselves. So it is not a question of others' concern. And also, when we see that one person is really earning to do that and the other person is not, we might be we might just look at them like ridiculously. So these are things which brings only laughter and not seriously a question. I would like to say. So you cannot also categorize it under.
I'm so sorry. I don't.
Sorry.
Ma'am, I'm unable to hear anything at all, ma'am.
I don't think the question is being perceived properly by the proposition.
Yeah, I believe so as well, but I don't know if ma'am has heard the answers. Ma'am, I'm not
Sir,
able to
I'm
hear you.
sure none of us have even understood the question because because ma'am's
Okay.
voice is lacking in between.
I
Just a
honestly
second.
don't think their answer had any relevance to the question posed, but whatever rocks their boat.
Sir, is it in order to post comments
Just
about any
just
speech?
just one second. Just one second. Um, ma'am, can you hear me? Yeah, ma'am. I personally thought that that question did not hold relevance. Is it what you asked? I'm not really sure. Whoever is having disturbance at their end, if you could just mute yourself. Ma'am, would you have any more questions for either of the teams?
No, except for the last question I asked him was not phrased correctly.
Sir, so the
Alright.
last question asked, is it in order or no?
No, I don't think even ma'am believes that it wasn't perceived right. We'll try to get it. We'll try to get it sent to you as a text form at the end of the debate.
Okay, so right now, is it being considered under a question or no?
That's up to the judge. That they're going to look at it.
Can
Ma'am,
you just repeat it?
ma'am, do you have any closing statements?
Do you want me to comment on what either of you said, or do you want me to give you a summary what I want to say?
I'd like you to whoever is typing, can everybody, all speakers, please mute themselves immediately? Thank you. All speakers, please mute themselves. Yeah, I think that's better. Ma'am, if you could just conclude the debate by giving us your views of the team's performance as well as your views on the topic.
Yeah. So the first part, I really hope I'm clear, okay? I wouldn't be able to repeat myself. And if I'm not clear, just stop me there and there.
All right, ma'am, please go ahead.
What one said it was a moderate form and the other said it was an extreme form. And what I got from the proposition is a lot of examples with respect to movies, right? So movies are something that we see by choice, but public display of affection is not something that we can choose to see or not see. Because it happens in front of us, probably we'll have to move away. But that again is against our fundamental rights to be able to stay in one place comfortably without having to see all this. Until now.
Brilliant. All right, ma'am. I think your voice has started breaking again.
Actually, it's pretty clear for me. That was absolutely brilliant.
No, towards the end, I couldn't hear anything.
Yes, sir. It was same in this case. I could not hear anything towards the end.
Let's be fair to all of them because one can hear, one can't hear. It's very really unfair from this point of view. But I could you and my entire feedback. That too.
No, ma'am. I'm unable to hear you at all.
If I may suggest so, headphones could help. Just suggesting.
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm here, ma'am. I can hear you now.
Okay. It's okay for me to send, let's say, the summary back in 5 minutes to the mail.
Yes, ma'am. If you could just send it to the debate club email ID, it will be conveyed to the rest of the speakers.
I really don't want to be this unfair.
All right. So I'll definitely get it sent across to the speakers.
Hello, I have a question.
Who's this?
Rohit. It's Rohit.
Yeah, please tell me.
Rohit, yeah. Is there no cross questioning round, or is it over because I was offline for a while?
Oh wait, yeah. I'm sorry, I skipped that. Ma'am, if you could just stay on for another 5 minutes, can we have the cross questioning between? I'd like team proposition to place questions for team opposition first. Team proposition.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Stating that the topic which says quote unquote laws binding public display of affection are fundamental entitlements which should not be limited by legislation based on religion and culture, as we all know the topic. How does the opposition convince me to stop thinking that our lawmakers and other religious leaders do have double standards when it comes to limiting public display of affection by legislation and laws in the name of religion and culture?
If I may, just 1 second. Prab Singh sir keeps using the word double standard. Could you please explain what that exactly means in your point of view? I don't find the word relevant to what you probably mean to convey. Could you just explain what double standard means? Hello?
Yeah, Prab, did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. According to the question, double standard means a rule or principle which is unfairly applied to different conditions or different peoples or to different groups.
We get what the meaning of the word double standard is. We want to know what are you trying to explain that in this context.
Okay,
if
sir.
you could just make your question short and precise and to the point.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm telling. Are not the lawmakers and religious leaders being unfair to a group of people, or being unfair or ruling out a particular principle when it comes to banning of public display of affection in the context of religion and culture?
What group of people, what principle? I'm totally not getting the question.
Sir, if you give me 2 minutes, I'll just type out the question.
Yeah, sure,
yeah,
please
you
do.
Can type out. Please.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Can the next question be put forward?
Yeah, please.
Okay, well, he types that question. I'll put forward mine. So, you know what PDA is? So, in PDA, you can classify PDA as mild PDA. So, I would like to put PDA under. I would not like to classify PDA. So PDA means just mild display of affection. You know what PDA is?
This
Totally
house
different.
disagrees on that stance because there are countries where PDA doesn't stop with mild PDA, making your question itself irrelevant.
Let me.
Right? We live in a country where there's a taboo on any forms of PDA. So you don't. So seeing it anywhere is once in a blue moon. But in other countries, this is not a case. It's
Okay. Calm down. Let me finish my question.
yeah. So
You-
go ahead.
So I would like to consider basically being in India, talking about our society, our culture. I would like to classify PDA like that. And when you come to other classifications, mostly you do not see anybody having intercourse or coitus on the roads. And you spoke about nudity.
France.
Yeah,
France.
not just France. There are nude beaches in many
In
parts
France.
of the country.
I have-
Okay. There are
Yeah, ma'am.
also.
Yeah.
Sorry. Let me complete. Just mute yourself. There are many parts of the world where there are nude beaches. There are nude wrestlers. There is nude cycling. There is nude parade, and a lot of different types of nudity is being shown. Recently, also there was a nude parade somewhere for some cause. So nudity is present. Hello. Nudity is different from public display of affection. Okay. Public display of affection
Yeah,
involves.
how are you connecting it?
Yeah. Public display of affection involves a couple, two people. Nudity is different. Nudity is.
I understood your question.
Yeah,
When
so
I
don't-
said nudist beaches, I was talking about what happens on the beaches, not the beach itself. Right? When you put 100 naked people on a beach, you obviously know what's going to happen.
Yeah, sure. When you know the beach is naked, you have naked people are present in the beach. So
The
you take
problem-
your kid there. You are morally responsible for taking your
problem
kid.
is-
Proposition, can you just
No.
stick to the question? Proposition,
Yeah.
can you just stick to the question?
Rohit, let him. I agree to his question, mate. So you're on the way to your market, okay? You live in Chennai, I presume. So you're on the way through Besanagar. You're on the beach, right? The
Okay.
beach has no walls. It has no boundaries. And on the way, it's a nudist beach. You have no other way but to go through that road to buy your daily groceries. Do you expect
Okay.
a mother not to take a child to the store simply because there's a beach there without a boundary? Which is why we say make the area either private or demolish the area because you're making it an awkward scene.
Come on, excellent question. So the mother is taking the child by that road. She knows there is nudity there. This
No, I'm
is
saying the
being-
mother will not take the child. Precisely my point. The mother will
Why
not
shouldn't
take the
she?
child.
Why shouldn't she? It's a matter of choice, all right. The mother can take that route or she cannot take that. She chooses
It's
to
not
take.
why
or
shouldn't she?
chooses to
She
take.
will not.
She will not. Which is
She will not.
why we
It's
stand.
unimaginable.
No, which has been the point of a debate. I don't know whether you've been listening to us
Look,
or not.
look.
We are saying we
You-
do
you're
not want
not
to corrupt
giving
the innocence. This
You're not
house-
giving me the princess. Come on, stop it. Okay, consider that I'm a married man and I have a kid. Consider myself to be a mother of two kids. I'm a very open-minded person. I will take my kids through that route. I will teach them what nudity is. I will teach them what obscenity is. I will teach them the difference. You cannot tell that the mother will not take. How can you say that she will not take? I'm a parent. I will take my kid through that route. You might not take your kid. Your family might not take your kid. Your society, your culture might not do that. Your particular society might not do that. You cannot ban people from doing that. You cannot ban motherhood. You cannot say that every mother is the same. Every mother raises her kid, his kid. Every parent raises his or her kid in his own matter, in his own way. So, being as a parent, like a
So what
parent,
are
assuming
you saying?
Yeah, what are you saying? Get to your question.
you never let me ask a question. You kept cross questioning me. So let me first ask a question. So the difference between obscenity and nudity. So you are capable of educating your child, your ward, on matters concerning obscenity, nudity, and certain other different things.
Mr. Vyas, this is the moderator here. I really think you need to stick to the relevance of the debate.
Yeah.
This is totally.
He is obsessed with the word nudist beaches. I only use that as a term of relevance to show that there are places where PDA goes to extremes. I don't know why he's obsessed with the term.
I'll ask you a very specific question.
Yeah,
You
please.
said that assuming Besanagar beach is a nudist beach, All right. So
Yeah.
when your kid is capable in 10 years old, is studying physics, chemistry, and capable of comprehending cellular organisms and all these complex scientific terms, why is he not capable of comprehending things like sex, intercourse, obscenity, and various things
You're,
regarding this topic?
I
It is
believe you are
completely
taking into consideration kids being 10 years old.
Yeah. That was
okay.
the
Yeah.
judge's point exactly. You're just going against the
Okay. This is
judge.
very specific, as I told you. So that
Does
age
the
of kid.
topic isn't? The topic
Sir,
But
isn't
sir, my
specific.
question. Sir,
just
my
just
question.
just a small clarification. If you are talking about people, about kids rather, who are about 16 or 18 years old, I believe your point still stands a little
Stands.
relevant. But if you're talking about kids in general and mothers taking kids out for grocery shopping, it would, I believe, be kids like under 10 years old or 12 years old
Obscene.
who don't really comprehend these things, at least in India or most countries.
You directly answered my question. So when you don't comprehend, you certainly need to question it and understand. And it is the duty of the parents to make their wards understand on certain concepts like these. A kid always questions things like this at certain age. Every kid has its own age of understanding about sex and about various other things for that matter. So when a kid once is inquisitive about this, obviously the kid needs to be confronted. So where do you find there's a fault?
If I may intervene, in the middle when you were saying the word sex, right? You whispered why? You're afraid that your parents might hear. Right now you're saying you're going to raise your kids in a non-conservative background, right? Which means you are still afraid of that awkwardness that you share with your parents in relevance to that term. Which is why I'm saying you feel awkward at the age of 17. Imagine how a 10-year-old feels with this 35-year-old mother,
Okay,
right?
so now
It's a
you cannot judge. You cannot judge me that.
it's just empathy. Come on.
Okay,
You're
I think
questioning human
I think,
morals.
guys, I think we're going off debate here. I'd like the judge to intervene and give her thoughts.
Just final statement for what you made. You cannot judge me on based on me whispering.
We have not
Sir,
had the
sir,
opportunity to
sir,
question
come on.
your proposition.
You should let me complete my sentences, man.
Yes, just hold on.
Okay, so
Akhil,
you should
sir.
not you should not judge me like
I
that.
think
And
no,
also
I
that it's possible that my parents are conservative and I choose to be non-conservative. So
Yes,
does
could
not
you
make
just
any
hold
difference.
on?
I'm not talking about your parents. I'm talking about the awkwardness you feel around your parents. Use that
Navneet,
term
please
loudly.
hold on.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, sorry. Fine.
Sir, everyone
Exactly.
just
There
please
is
hold
some
on. Can I
into
just speak to
generation.
the moderator,
if
please?
if just one person can speak at a time. If Mr. Vyas, if your partner wants to speak, can you
Yeah,
just let him speak?
finally, one statement. Just like he said, that awkwardness, yeah, I accept totally, okay? This is what varies, how our generation progresses. One time, a family, they had nothing literally. They were totally ignorant, and now certain new things have been accepted. And now, as the generation progresses, new things new are being accepted, and the conservativeness keeps on reducing. My for general in any family, conservative family, as the generation progresses, the level of conservativeness expands. It reduces and it is less and less. It keeps on decreasing. So, and also being oppressed like this, those people are tend to be more open and more less conservative, to be more precise. So, his point
Uh,
is true.
Just okay.
I didn't
Okay,
find a
can we
question
put
in there.
forward our question?
Yes,
No,
please
Mr.
go
Akhil,
ahead.
if you can see, I have just put forward my question and we are not just looking through it.
No, I'm also using a phone and I can't
Yeah.
see the
Okay,
chat.
Rohit wants to know why the proposition thinks the politicians and the religious leaders have the double standards.
Sir, first of all, there was
Why
no
do you
word
think
called
that?
as. Sir, that's what I want you to explain. Why do they have double standards in
No,
the
you're
context
saying
of
why do they
religion
have
and
double
culture?
standards on the legislation
No,
that they pass? Once again, I'm just trying to get the team proposition clear here. You want to know why politicians or our lawmakers have double standards? Is that correct?
No, sir. If you can see in the chat, I explained double standards in this
No, I can't see the
context.
chat.
Okay, that's why I'm reading it out. Double standards in this context mean that they are having two-way thoughts in context to legally banning PDA.
That's what I meant.
what
That's
are
what
Yeah.
the
I
two
asked you.
ways? What are the two ways?
Yeah, if you could just be clear on that. Even I don't quite get what two ways are you suggesting?
Sir, basically
Prabha,
explaining
I
two ways.
recommend you just answer questions something very basic and precise instead of that question, since people are not getting it.
Sir, here in two ways, I would just, in basic terms, it means they are for and also against. If I
Okay,
have to
that
explain
could
it in
happen in a democracy.
yes, so if the legislative lawmakers have the two-way thoughts about the about the PDS, how do they expect how do they expect it to be legally banned when the context of religion and culture? When
Uh,
religion and culture really are promoting PDS from a long from centuries ago, if I had to mention.
Personally, I mean, on a personal note, I think that all laws are debatable, whether the legislative passes them or not. We still have to follow the laws. I mean, I could debate a lot of laws that I wouldn't
Even
like to
terrorist
follow,
laws
but
have
I
two
still have to.
sides.
Sir,
Yeah.
how
So,
did terrorist even come here?
he's just. I
Comparing
personally think
laws.
that
I'm
he
talking
means
about
that
even terrorist laws have two sides.
Exactly. Your question is.
if unless you have any other question, I don't really comprehend this question. I don't think your opposition team also quite understands it.
First time I
If you don't have
Repeat
any
the
more
question
questions,
instead of
and
uh, just one second.
என்ன பாக்குறேன்னு
Navneet and
அர்த்தம்
Rohit,
opposition.
Navneet and Rohit, do you have any more questions?
Actually, I have one and only one
Yes,
question.
yes.
I have one
Yeah.
question. Rohit has a question. In our world today, people do not know the difference between showing affection and showing off affection. It's become a competition to show who can pose more public affection in contrast to his friend. Right? How do you deem this acceptable in our society today? Please iterate.
Sir, answering your question, mm, could you just repeat the last statement once?
See, in our world today, people it is no longer showing affection, but rather showing off affection. People, it's become a competition to show who can, in contrast to your friend, who went out with his girlfriend more, right? I do not want to make this indecent, rather. So, what I would like to, I'm asking you is basically, how is this acceptable in our society, where showing affection has become showing off affection?
Sir, personally speaking, till now in my life, I have never seen any incident which is contrasting or showing off. If you could really
If I might
like to
stop you now,
answer.
you're helping our cause. You're saying that the laws are working. I'm just intervening. You're talking for us.
Okay, I'll take that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so showing and showing off, excellent wordplay used there, by the way. But that is something you must deeply consider the person's morality. Every law is debatable, as you said. Similarly,
Which
this
is
law is
what
also
we want to preserve. Which is what this house wants to preserve. We want to preserve
basically.
that overall morality.
Are you
Do
going to
not.
every time?
Okay,
Excuse
fine.
me,
Yeah,
please.
yeah, sorry.
Every
Go
time
ahead. Go
you are
ahead. Go ahead.
interrupting,
Navneet,
let me complete.
Navneet, can you just let them complete, please? I'll have to
Okay,
mute
fine.
you.
Yeah, I'll mute
So
myself.
listen. So listen, every law is debatable, as you said. And sorry, what is the question? Yeah, between showing affection and showing off affection. So when I said every law is debatable, we have laws like do not smoke in public places. It is a law. Fines have been imposed on that law. Who follows that? It, who is enforcing that law? This is
I'd just like to step in. I really don't think that you're encouraging people to break the law here.
no. I'm not encouraging people to break the law. I am just stating the happening in our current society. There is a law like that, and people are not following it. It is a fact. People are the government, the legislation, the lawmakers have not made necessary amends to enforce it. So similarly, every law has its own drawbacks, has its own lopsides and loopholes. So similarly, when certain thing is being made public, certain thing is being permitted, and it is totally moral and totally lawful and totally which must be permitted. There is no reason why it should not be permitted. Such things, there can be a certain flaws. There can be certain people who take it for granted. Such people must be ignored, I would like to say. You cannot demote us, or you cannot say that we are surrendering to you, but this is the fact. People smoke, you know that. You just move away from them. Similarly, there are certain
Alright,
people whom you cannot
I'd
control.
like you to just
So
keep it
showing and
concise.
showing off,
Can I
yeah, showing
intervene?
between
Yes,
showing
yes.
and showing off, it
May I
depends upon
please
the
intervene?
personal,
No, not
depends
yet.
upon
Wait.
the ethics, depends upon the ethics and morality of that individual.
Yes.
How
Alright.
he respects that law.
Vyas, are you done?
Yes.
Alright.
May I
Sir,
respond?
I would like to add on a sentence,
No,
please.
no. One
May
second.
I
I'd
respond,
like
please?
Mr. Prab and Mr. Vyas to now mute themselves.
Okay, can I
Team.
ask my question?
No, Rohit, wait,
I'm-
wait, wait. I want to
this
give a
is going to
response.
This is going to be the last question for the debate. So if Rohit, you're going forward with that.
Before
Yeah,
Rohit
okay.
starts, I just like to respond to what he said.
Quickly. Navneet,
Yeah.
just quickly.
Yeah, quickly. The last time I checked, we live in a free country. If I want to go out and watch a movie without being forced to awkwardness, I should. If I want to go out and walk on the street without facing this awkwardness, I should be. Right? You said democracy is where anyone can do anything without infringing upon the rights of another person. I believe by PDA, through legalizing PDA, this gets infringed upon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you,
The same
Rohit.
thing you can say about public brawling.
I'd like to
One step at a time.
just 1 second.
Public brawling is still seen in the streets.
I'm gonna go on to the final question from Rohit.
A proposition, how can you be sure that it cannot lead to from less affectionate forms to more affectionate forms? How can you be so sure that it doesn't stop with kiss and a hug? To use your words, coitus.
All right. I request Navneet and Rohit to mute themselves now. And who's answering? It's going to be Parab or Vyas. I don't want
Sir.
both answering, please.
Rohit, could you just repeat it, please?
His question was, how can you be so sure that PDA at this level is not going to develop into more from just a hug and a kiss? How are you so sure that it's not going to go ahead?
Sir, answering that question, basically, we are not sure of it. We are not sure of that. But as you see, PDA is generally defined by only the two activities which we are being mentioned, which it has been which are being mentioned right now. And if it just exceeds the limit, it is called vulgarity, and it cannot be considered into PDA. And I guess the house is not dealing with vulgarity right now. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Ma'am, do you have any closing comments? Shantini ma'am, can you hear me?
Can we answer? Can we answer the propositions, comments?
No, I'd like to bring the debate to a close. It's just gone a lot overtime, quite overtime rather. So, ma'am, if you could just conclude the debate, please.
Right, I can. Let me type it out.
I can hear you properly now.
One closing comment. I have multiple comments.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, your voice is breaking again. If you could type it out, it would be great.
Right, so give me like 5 minutes. I will type it out. It's quite.
All right.
So do we have an audience question?
I think that's going to be sent to you on text format.
Okay, thanks.
Hello, can you hear me now? Is anybody able to hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you.
All right, thank you. I suggest we just leave the call and just stay on to the text chat of the Hangout.
Okay.
Or actually, ma'am is just typing out now, so we can just stay and look at it. Mr. Vyas, we actually debates are actually two people. I mean, even in the main event, we're gonna have two people debating together as a team.
Yeah, unfortunately, but I
We
think
actually all the online debates till now have been two people, and the teams
yeah,
have been
yeah,
prepared together.
but yeah, they have. Even our previous one was like that, but it's just an opinion which you can consider for the upcoming events and stuff.
I'll pass it on to the debate club team, but I think that you guys should have worked together as a team and prepared.
Thank you.
Have all of you seen the question posted by the debate club uh, email?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's gonna
Yeah,
be the audience questions. You're gonna have to type the answers to that and send it to the debate club email ID within 10 to 15 minutes.
okay.
If you don't
Vyas,
mind, could I send it to the Facebook page?
Yeah, anything. That's fine as well.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Thank you.
How does
Yeah, sure.
public display of affection violate culture or religion? How does public display of affection violate culture or religion? Religion.
Rohit, if you could just mute yourself.
हाँ जी वनस्थलीपुरम में वनस्थलीपुरम में गुरुद्वारा मालूम है आपको वनस्थलीपुरम पानामा बड़ाव से थोड़ा ऊपर आए तो मैं रट्टा कितनी दूर नहीं आना उससे पहले चौरस्ते से लेफ्ट साइड मारे तो गुरुद्वारा आता नहीं उससे पहले हाँ उससे पहले बैलेटिन बेकरी से सामने लेफ्ट है बड़ा चौरस्ता है
Hello, can everyone hear me? Okay, I think Mr. Akhil Prakash, the moderator of today's debate, has some technical reasons, and so he's left. I would thank everyone, the moderator, the judges, the participants, and the viewers for participating in our debate. And we will let you know the results in very soon. Yeah, you all can end the call. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
This
you.
was awesome.
Sure, boss.
Thanks. It was good. Great.